welcome you to ACC Network Basketball presented by Food Lion. It's the Donald L. Tucker Center, Tallahassee, Florida, as the Seminoles 17th ranked welcome Clemson. Couple of schools with football on the mind, but ACC hardwood in action here today along with Debbie Antonelli, Will Fleming. Debbie, as usual, Leonard Hamilton has it rolling. They're battle-tested, a huge challenge for Clemson today.
Well, this is a great defensive team for Leonard Hamilton, and you have to have your pressure package in because they're going to attack you on both ends of the floor. And at the top of their defense is Trent Forrest, their senior. He's also their leading scorer, but he dictates everything for them in the open floor on both sides of the court. On the other side for Clemson, it's going to be Amir Sims. He's a terrific, versatile inside-outside scorer for Clemson. They will feature him in different spots around the floor, whether he goes from the three-point line all the way onto the interior, but he's also a shot blocker around the rim. So the depth of Clemson will definitely be tested by the depth of Florida State.
This is a big-time depth challenge for Clemson. They do get an enormous piece back. We learned when we came to the gym here today, Debbie, big news, Jonathan Baer, a kid who tore his ACL in May, will return to game action. He's not in the starting lineup, but Brad Brownell starts to get a little bit healthier, and that is imperative against the depth of Florida State.
You get another guy to add to your rotation. You get a scholarship player that brings your total to 9. And Brad Brownell's been playing with 8. And you will be tested because Florida State is going to play up the line. They're going to overplay. So backdoor, ball fakes, pump fakes around the rim will all be important early on, as well as high post entries and dribble entries in your offense.
That man closing in on the most wins in Clemson history. It will not take long. It'll happen this month, although they will go into the gauntlet in the month of January. And Leonard Hamilton has just got it totally primed here in Florida State. Well, both of these programs, truth be told, are in the shadow of football. We'll get into that, but Leonard has done everything to fire it up in Tallahassee. We are underway. Alamir Dawes, the freshman point guard, and here we go. Florida State and Forrest off to the races with a right hand.
It's going to be a challenge from the get-go, as we just mentioned, to be able to handle against the length, the size, and the physical toughness on this end of the floor that Florida State brings defensively.
That is the mark of a Leonard Hamilton team. They're going to pressure you in the full court, in the half court, get deflections, turn it over. An enormous challenge for a young backcourt for Clemson. Already 5 on the shot clock. Wild into the corner. That's a shot for John Newman, the third, and it's out of bounds. Clemson will keep it. Immediately a whistle, a stoppage in play, and Debbie, you can see right away, coming off the loss in the Big Ten ACC Challenge for Florida State, they went to Indiana and got smacked a little bit, a team that has played 3 top 5 conference Power 5 teams in the week, and they come home for ACC play today. There's a step-back 3 for Dawes.
Well, that ought to give that young man some confidence because he is really going to get tested today.
Put on the line, just a deuce, tied the game into the corner. Vassell, who's been great and grown for Florida State, no good, and a rebound for Dominic Olinichuk. They'll say it's a held ball. Knowles will keep it.
Well, Florida State, if the energy early on, a lot of times you take quick shots. You got to get into the rhythm of the game a little bit. Everybody gets a touch that also always helps you feel more comfortable and confident about what you're doing. Run a little flex cut on the baseline that isolates Olinichuk.
Hook shot will not go. And Kayvon Moore bats it to Dawes. So a touch for the big man in the paint, Olinichuk. Grad transfer from Ole Miss. Big Polish center as a miss on the far side for Tevin Mack.
Now, Tevin Mack actually leads Clemson in scoring at about 13 points a game.
He's been around, has Mack. 2 Power 5 appearances before here at Alabama and Texas. MJ Walker misses a shot and streaking to the basket. There's Mack.
This game's going to settle down a little bit. Both teams playing pretty quickly, right? Excited about getting back into conference play. Both these teams suffered a loss in their conference opener.
Not a good pass for Walker. Dawes with speed into the front court, and that is good. Clemson. Little 6-point spurt. See if Forrest can calm them down.
This is Devin Vassell, number 24, and for Florida State, he's their leading scorer.
Up top for Osborne off the window. Yeah, Vassell's a freak athlete. I mean, they think he is as good a perimeter defender, athletic, bouncy, rangy, all of those things. They think he's a real pro prospect.
You know, when you've got a 6'9" wingspan to go with your 6'7" frame, you can do a lot of damage on this end of the floor. Look at Olanicha.
The big man, and he misses the slam after getting into the passing lane.
Well, when the big guy dribbles that many times, this is a great steal. This is like 5 dribbles to go from midcourt to the rim.
Maybe took off a little early, Debbie.
He had his head down. He was dribbling as fast as he could.
A bull to the rack. Alamir Dawes. Amir Sims, the big man from downtown.
I think Amir Sims is ready to have a big game. You know, he's been forced to play in many different situations offensively. They've moved him around a lot. I think he's getting more comfortable as the season goes on, scoring outside the arc.
They need him to be their leader.
Yeah,
he's lone returning starter. Walker, he's been shaky to start.
And they need him because it'll make him more comfortable inside if he can establish his game on the outside.
He had not shot the three-point shot real well. He was 4 for 22 coming in, but that will make him feel good early in this one. Nearing the 16-minute mark. Frenetic pace to this one. And there he is, Devin Vassell. Of course, Debbie, frenetic and Florida State, and for that matter, Clemson.
Right.
That's...
You know what? Well, you can't dismiss the fact that Clemson has built their culture around defense as well.
Yeah, these are two teams that pride themselves on that. Sims sort of trapped in the lane. There's Newman, a top recruit, trying to come into his own corner, and that is a 3 for Dawes. He's shooting it early.
That is exactly the start that Brad Brownell would want for that freshman point guard against the physicality of the defense for Florida State. He's done a good job. He turned it over the first time he touched it. Since then, he's played really well.
Malik Osborne, a kid who came here to face up to the basket, forced into action in the paint early, and he turns it over in that lane. Kevin Mack, maybe one step too many in an offensive foul. Well, after a little bit of a shaky start for Clemson, they have righted the ship, and they lead by 6 in Tallahassee. All presented by Food Lion, the official grocer of the ACC. The Westcott Fountain here on campus. Apparently, we understand, Debbie, it's a tradition that every birthday, when you're a student here, you get tossed into that fountain. I'm glad it's not my birthday today.
Yeah. I'd hate to have to drag you down there and throw you in the fountain, Will.
That is indeed some food for thought. Speaking of, Kevin Mack has been on a wild journey. He just turned it over into that last timeout. But this kid has been everywhere, Debbie, and he knows his way around the Power 5.
3 different schools. Texas, then Alabama, and now Clemson in his final year. He might be the best 3-school player in the country right now. Be interesting to find out, wouldn't it? Somebody's got to have a stat on that.
Not quite the list you want to be on. That is presented by Food Lion. A little bit wild early, I think, for Mac. Dawes has been a pleasant surprise. He's really steadied the ship in the backcourt.
Yeah, 3 for 3, turned it over early, but he's done a very nice job of being aggressive on the offensive end.
You know, on the other end, Walker, a kid who came in as a McDonald's All-American, everybody assumed he'd be a one and done. A really shaky start, I think, for him today. He seems out of sorts.
Well, I think the way that Florida State gets their engine going is through their defense.
Vassell, 3!
And that's situational offense. So coming off of timeouts, all those plays when you come out of the huddle, Florida State executes really well right there.
And they get to press off the make.
In shoot-around today, I thought Florida State did a really good job calling out all their action on the defensive end.
Curran Scott, he's stripped. There's Vassell. Thus far, Florida State has not turned turnovers into immediate transition points. They had the missed dunk, and here they pull it out.
Well, Clemson's doing a really good job of getting back. Floor balance really important in this one because you want to get back and set your defense.
Vassell with the hot hand early. So 5-0 run for the Noles.
When you're trying to get floor balance, Will, sometimes you give up a chance to go to the offensive glass. That means you're really expecting your execution to be good against a very good defense.
Yeah, you asked Brad Brunell about that as Dawes stays hot. He's made all 4 shots.
He's already got 10 points.
You mentioned that floor balance as they go inside to another big man, Kaprovica from Serbia, and he lays it in. Olsha Kaprovica. It's the all-pronunciation team for the Noles, and they're back within 2. Can Dawes do it again? No.
Well, he had a great look, and you go underneath that middle ball screen action, and Dawes right now is confident, and I love that Brad Brownell is putting the ball in his hands and letting him call his number on that.
Leonard Hamilton will go to the bench all the time. That's a hallmark of this program. The young star freshman Patrick Williams comes off the bench for the first time, as does Raquan Gray, the 6'8" redshirt soft. So anyway, back to how Clemson deals with the pressure of Florida State. You asked Clemson about that, and the answer is not offensive rebounding, it is floor balance. Can you explain that?
It means you'd rather get back on defense so you can stay organized and keep Florida State in front instead of sending 3 guys to the offensive glass.
Gray puts it on the deck, and they'll say the ball stays with Florida State. That looked like it might have gone off the hands of Kaprovica, but the Noles keep it.
Let's see if Florida State can get something going to the basket on this with 6 seconds on the shot clock.
Gotta hurry here. Raquan Gray, I'm not sure he's aware. He'll fire for 3 and come up short. Well, Alamir Dawes, even though he missed his last 3, what a hot start for him. And for the freshman going against the veteran in Forrest, they thought he probably couldn't handle guarding Forrest on the other end, but he has sure done it offensively. Here he is between the circles. Maybe asking for a little too much, but he cleans up the offensive board. Curran Scott for 3.
Well, his decision-making, Dawes, has been fantastic right there. That was a great find of Scott behind the 3-point line. He's a terrific 3-point shooter for Clemson.
He's got it going offensively. 18 points in the first 7.5 minutes of this game against Florida State. That is remarkable. Here's Williams. Good
help by Jemison.
Corner 3. No. Offensive board. Polite. Forrest from the corner is good.
I think Trent Forrest is a winner. I think he's been a part of so many successful pro teams here for Leonard Hamilton. Nobody on the floor today has more wins than Trent Forrest.
He's increased his scoring every year on campus. As Leonard Hamilton says, look, this is a kid who scored 3,000 points in high school. He can fill it up as they go inside to the paint to Jemison, and it's stripped away. How about Raquan Gray down the lane? The big man can't finish, and they will call interference in the cylinder there on Florida State, trying to put it back in. Well, Alamir Dawes for Clemson has got it going early.
He's been a threat. He's been making good decisions. He's got Clemson in the lead.
As always, proud to be part of V-Week on the campus of Florida State. Clemson by 2 on a day that Florida State announced the hiring of a new football coach. Mike Norvell is here, hired from Memphis. That's all the buzz. Clemson, meanwhile, Debbie, they're in the college football playoff. No surprise there. Their opponent is now known. They will play Ohio State, a team that they've had a lot of success against in that format.
Well, they've won 3 in a row. And when we went into the locker room to speak to Coach Brownell, the first thing out of his mouth was, boy, what a great job Dabo Swinney has done. And 5 consecutive ACC championships.
And a 10-second violation.
And in the break, we were talking about how Florida State would pick up their pressure. And that's not a good ATO, if you will, for Brad Brownell. Great job by Leonard Hamilton to get his team to really ramp it up a little bit, forcing the 10-second.
That's a man who knows where his bread is buttered on campus with the success of that football program. These two programs have that in common. First look at Jonathan Baer. There he is, guarding Evans at the top of the key, and that's big news. For his ACL, preparing for the World University Games. A little bit of the man bun up top as Raekwon Evans goes to work, and he is bumped on the backside by Amir Sims. What can that young man bring to Clemson?
Well, it's exciting to see him with a 6'10" frame. He does have three-point range. He has worked really hard to get back in a uniform for this team since his ACL injury in May. I think it's exciting for Clemson to have him back, and I think he'll take some pressure off of some of the other players in terms of scoring, and he'll bring some more length at the rim.
Transfer from UNC Asheville, kid from Germany, who they were expecting big things from. 4 on the shot clock. And as it expires, a near make for Raekwon Evans. It did everything but go in. You know, for Brad Brownell, he was expecting a lot of defections. They lost huge pieces in Reed and Thomas and Mitchell, but the injury bug hit in the preparation for those World University Games. Dawes, another good pass into the corner for Scott, and he finds it in the middle of the lane.
You go ball movement, you go inside out, you get a reversal, and that's a perfect time to attack a closeout, and Scott does a nice job with the floater.
Right on the far side, right in front of Brownell, and good Clemson playing good half-court defense. Florida State will have it. So they know they're going to lose 4 or 5 starters, but then preparing for the World University Games, they get 2 guys tearing ACLs. Baer is one of them, and then a kid they're counting on to be a major contributor is ruled out by the NCAA, coming over from Fordham as a transfer. And so Brad Brownell has just tried as hard as he can to find 5-10 guys that can suit up for him and play the way that Clemson has played the last many years.
Well, they're also waiting on Clyde Trapp to come back, and he would be one of their more experienced backcourt players. He also has the ACL injury. They hope by sometime in January they'll have him.
There is Baer, who's strong with the 3. An offensive rebound for Sims, and he is fouled going up.
The gold medal for the World University Games is an incredibly rewarding experience. I tease Dabo Swinney that he's a 2-time national champ, but I'm a world champ, so I've got one up on that at least. He's got to go international for him to battle with us.
Something tells me Dabo would be up for that challenge. Remarkable job they've done.
62 points is a lot of points in football.
Dawes misses his second triple and an offensive rebound for Hunter Tyson. They are, well, you said it, Debbie, they wanted to get floor balance, but they've done a pretty good job here of late crashing the offensive glass.
Well, when you take shots that are in your system and you know the right people are taking shots, it's easier to get to the offensive boards.
And speaking of Dabo, there they are. They're set up to play Ohio State. They'll be out in the desert. LSU in Atlanta with Oklahoma off the Big 12 title win.
Clemson's won the last 3 in a row against the Buckeyes. I'm sure they've got that written down somewhere in the locker room.
Could be quite a matchup. You know, it's interesting for a team that has had so much success. The freshman Williams will go to the free throw line. In some ways, it's hard to say it's been a letdown of a year at 13-0 because
oh my goodness,
it's been great.
I mean, come on, they've won 28 straight in a row, 5 consecutive ACC titles. And I thought people said that about Virginia men's basketball. They weren't sexy enough, they played too slow, they were a possession game, they couldn't score. Well, it resulted in a national championship. If you don't think the way Clemson plays is sexy, I don't think you're paying attention on the offensive end. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had 4 touchdown passes yesterday. T. Higgins caught 3 of them.
Not that Debbie's paying attention at all to Clemson.
I'm watching Clemson football.
And I think it's fair to say that Dabo will have them ready for that playoff game. Corner 3 is good. Hunter Tyson.
I mean, really well-designed attack of the full court pressure. Right now, Clemson's getting whatever they want offensively.
There's the 3 in the corner. They needed that from Malik Osborne. Tyson, too strong. Osborne away.
Good post up early in offense.
Williams, the highly touted freshman, a little bit out of control.
If you move the ball, you should not take a contested shot. And driving down the middle of the floor, their defense is all loaded up. This is a great job of spotting to the three-point line by Hunter Tyson, and on the other end, Malik Osborne counters with a triple.
Osborne is something of a Swiss Army knife. He came here to play out on the wing, and then with some of the injuries to big men, he was forced to play the 5, and that came in handy in their win over Purdue when they decided to go small. He played the 5 again. Again, 3 on the shot clock. Wild attempt, no good. No rhythm right now in the half court for Florida State.
They've got to do a better job of moving the ball.
Sims. No good, and second chance opportunity. That does not go for Kayvon Moore.
I think that's too quick.
You'd like to see him come down with it?
I'd like to see the team. I'd like to see them make Florida State get into some rotation. They're getting whatever they want, so move the ball. Continue doing what works.
Well, we talked about it just a little while ago. Mike Norvell hired as the new man here at Florida State. Now that has got some buzz on campus. Talk about the new man in charge after this.
For Florida State football, the future, and what's to come. And I am honored to join hand in hand, step by step, with all of the Florida State family in helping to take one of the most iconic brands and iconic programs in college football and return it to where it's supposed to be.
Well, an exciting day for Mike, and the fans in this town are hopeful that he can be the answer to get them back where they believe they should be. Tremendous stuff at Memphis, and whether or not he'll coach their bowl game, we'll see. But this is the story in this town, Debbie. We're talking about basketball. We've got the ACC hoops underway once again. But it's amazing that on this day, Florida State hires a new coach, and Clemson qualifies and gets their assignment for the playoff.
It is an exciting day, and I'm sure Coach Norvell will do a great job here at Florida State. They have great resources, they have a tremendous fan base, and I'm sure they're going to one day hope to be able to challenge back to that old rivalry of Florida State-Clemson, right? That was a great one in the ACC.
No question about that, and of course, like to handle the Gators themselves too. Kayvon Moore, a little bit out of control, but finds Hunter Tyson.
Every ATO, the defensive effort for Florida State ramps up a bit. I thought that was a travel.
So hang on to it.
You got to have your backdoor package in, your high post entries, your dribble entries, because you know Florida State's going to overplay. They're going to be up the line and in the passing lanes.
What a recovery there by Kaprovica after what looked like a too easy inbound entry. Walker way short on the 3.
This is where Sims has really improved his game. His ability to get it off the glass and go full court. When your 5 player can get a rebound and not need an outlet, that really gets you into transition quickly.
Single digits on the clock again. Walker just does not have the feel from the field.
He had a good look. Got to use the bounce to get into the elevation of his mid-range jump shot.
The shooting numbers for Clemson have got to be concerning to Leonard Hamilton. They're up above 50% from the field. They lead early in this ball game by 3, 6-minute mark of the first half. Back into the post to Amir Sims, and that's good help side D, but some contact and a foul will send Tevin Mack to the free throw line. Coming up next, we've got an unbelievable early season ACC matchup for you. Cole Anthony and number 7 North Carolina in Charlottesville against the defending champs, the Wahoos. Welcome the Heels, 4 Eastern right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
Both teams coming off significant losses. They both got beat up pretty badly, actually, but I expect them to rebound. Cole Anthony going into an environment that he hasn't been in before. Should be really interesting.
Diakite has taken a leap forward. What do you think, Debbie, in that one, first one to 40?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely not the first to 50. I think 40 wins it. First to 40. Well, Virginia only averages 53 points.
They still will lock you down on D. I'm with you. For Anthony, that's going to be, if not a rude awakening, that is a serious, serious introduction to what life is going to be like against the Cavaliers. As stumbling to the ground went Olinichuk. Turnover, Knowles. Whether intended or not, it finds its way to Mack in the corner, and he double dribbles.
I thought the ball was deflected. So did Brad Brownell.
You know, it's interesting, Debbie, for a kid in Mack who has played at now 3 big-time programs, he looks wild. Sort of maybe not totally in control early in this game.
He's got a lot of bounce to his game. Sometimes guys force it early. Others, like Amir Sims, he lets the game come to him.
I think this kid does too, Vassell.
Yes. I would agree with that. I mean, he's not forced anything. Olinichuk with an offensive foul on a screen at the middle of the floor. He's trying to screen the nail.
Man, Florida State's been stuck on 20 for a good long while here. This for a team, Debbie, that has got great wins this year. They beat Florida. At that time, they were ranked 6th in the country. They beat Tennessee, 17th at that time. Then they won the Emerald Coast Classic with a win over Purdue. I mean, they've been tested and they've stood tall. They just do not look like themselves so far here today. Down the lane, and Dawes is fouled.
The Tennessee and the Purdue wins are big. They will look great on their resume when the NCAA tournament rolls around. And to hold Purdue to 60 points, I thought was a phenomenal job defensively in overtime.
You're right. You would imagine that Leonard Hamilton sleeps well at night knowing that here we are in the 2nd week in December, and already knowing he's going to play in the ACC and get a lot of Quadrant 1 opportunities. They've got a resume today, right now, that gets them in the tournament.
Oh, I think they're definitely going to finish in the upper part of the ACC. I think they've already been to 3 consecutive NCAA tournaments. If they go to a 4th this year, that'd be a record for them.
Leonard does not look that happy at the moment, and you can't blame him. This has not been a characteristic effort on the defensive end for them.
You know, and then on the offensive end, one of the things that I know has troubled him some is their inability to get to the paint and make a play for someone else.
Yep.
So whether you go into the paint off the bounce or you do it from a back to the basket.
Vassell gives it away. Kayvon Moore. Clemson with its largest lead. They lead by 7. 4.5 minutes without scoring for Florida State.
That's a long drought, and they're not even looking into the post. That would travel.
Yes, it was. Maybe not LeBron like the other night, but a block is called, a bailout for M.J. Walker.
Hey, this is a great job of anticipating by Kayvon Moore, creating some offense with his D. And this is a bad break for Brad Brownell because it should have been a travel. Instead, now his defense picks up another foul, and it puts Florida State on the free throw line for easy points when they have been struggling, as you just mentioned, the drought that they suffered. So this would be a point like in the game that fans don't recognize, but coaches will go back and say, remember the 4-12 mark in the first half, how this one particular series of events could have affected how the outcome of the game happens.
Look, we understand it's very hard to officiate these games in real time. The speed is insane.
The speed is unbelievable.
But that one, I mean, that seemed
Got a running
pretty
start.
black and white. But he makes both free throws.
And this is a veteran crew, Will. I mean, this is a big-time crew on this game.
As it should be. Almost a turnover there, and they break the press.
Jonathan Baer getting some more action again.
Big brace on his left knee for the ACL in May. He's rangy.
No spacing over there.
Air ball and a three, not a good shot. Osborne to the deck. Now Osborne top of the key, short with a three, and Bear with a board. You know, for Leonard Hamilton, this is starting to feel eerily familiar to their last game at Indiana. In the first half, they had a run of more than 8 minutes without a field goal. They got blown out in Bloomington. As Clemson a little sloppy with the basketball, they turn it over. 27-22. Clemson leads in Tallahassee. New head football coach Mike Norvell, and he knows the deal already, given the tomahawk chop, and he is on his way to sit with us. Got his wife Maria, his daughter Mila. Thrilled to have Mike with us. We'll get him on headset, and he'll join us right here live on air, the new football coach at Florida State. See if we can get him the spare headset. Clemson and Florida State on the hardwood with 3:19 to go. Mike, can you hear us? Welcome back to Florida State, and we got the new football coach with the Noles, Mike Norvell. Mike, have a seat if you'd like. I know it's been a whirlwind time for you. Thank you for making the time. High expectations, but what a moment for you.
It's so special. I mean, it's been an incredible reception. So much excitement. It's been a whirlwind of the last 24 hours, but just honored to be here and to have the opportunity.
Well, you have the tomahawk chop down. We're happy to see that. That was you got that one pegged.
No question, and be able to be a part of one of the most iconic programs and universities in the country. It's just, like I said, it's an honor, and you're so very excited about the future.
Coach, it's such a whirlwind for you right now, just you and your family getting to the area. What are some of the first couple of things that are on your list of to-dos right now with your new program?
Well, we have about 10 days till signing period, so we're gonna be on the phone quite a bit. It's gonna be a lot of fun, getting a chance to meet everybody. But the first thing I did when I got here was I met the players, and we had a players meeting, just to introduce myself, tell them a little bit about what we are going to do, how we're going to continue to grow, and we got a great group of young men.
This is a guy who gets it. He's already thinking about recruiting. The resources here, the history are obvious. What was appealing beyond those obvious things about this job for you right now?
It's just the unbelievable tradition that we have here. The great players, the great expectations. I mean, that's something that I embrace. I want to be a part of, and an opportunity to work to be the coach that can help put Florida State football back where it deserves to be. And that's one of the nation's elite programs. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. It's going to be step-by-step process, but I know we're going to have the right group of men to do that.
Coach, what's a couple of things that you want your players to know? When you say you met with your team first, what was your message to them, and what would you want Florida State fans to know?
This is going to be an all-inclusive program. We're going to be action-based. A lot of people can stand up and obviously give a great speech, but I want our actions to speak louder than our words. And it's going to take a lot of hard work, dedication, but we're going to do it in every phase: on the field, off the field, in the classroom, and in the community, because we represent something so special.
A shot of your beautiful family, your wife Maria, your daughter Mila. So Mila gets to grow up in Florida.
Oh, she's so excited. She's already got it all figured out. She's got the word chant down, and she's excited about being a part of the Seminole family.
I know that this is a day that you've been looking for decades, literally, as you build to be the head man at a program like this. But it is always, I know, a little bittersweet when you have to leave a group of young men that you grow so close with at Memphis.
Yeah, that was one of the hardest meetings I've ever had, was this morning. Especially coming off such an emotional night. But it was a great group of players, of coaches, the whole city of Memphis. But I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for the experience of 4 years that we had. I poured everything I had into that program, and leaving, there was a lot of tears. But with that, there's a lot of great memories, and just honored to have had my time there.
Clemson leads by 8 here, and Mike is soon going to find out how fun it is to be around Leonard Hamilton and this great Florida State basketball program. It's Trent Forrest with 15 on the shot clock. Mike, you had so much success at Memphis in the interview process here at Florida State. What was your pitch to the folks in Tallahassee about what your style can bring and what you can do to turn this thing around?
Well, I mean, it's the all-inclusive approach, and this is a football team and a program that we have talent, and we're going to be able to attract talent just because of the brand that we have, the style of play which we're going to bring, and the way that we're going to be able to showcase our student athletes. But it's really being able to do it in every phase, and that's what allowed us to have unbelievable success at Memphis. Was we achieved success in the classroom just as much as we did on the field, and when kids see that you're building it for them, you're going to market them and showcase their skills, they want to be a part of it.
Maybe get some athletes like Devin Vassell, who skied for the slam to get Florida State back within 6. And the defensive pressure ratcheting up for Leonard Hamilton, and nearly a takeaway there. Another look at the slam. Mike, you're going to be in this building a lot. Hope to see a lot of plays like this one.
Oh, no question, and that's what's exciting. You look at the progression of all of our athletic programs here at Florida State. The basketball team is competing at all-time high. We're pushing to do something special. All the other athletic programs, we represent something so special, and to be able to do our part as a football program to really work to lead the charge. I mean, that's something that I know the work. I know the things we're going to do each and every day, but also excited about the opportunity.
Well, good luck, Coach. We wish you well. Look forward to following your success.
Well, thank you so very much, and go Noles.
Pleasure. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Football coach at Florida State, and you can tell he's jacked up for this opportunity, Debbie, and he gets it. And look, this is legitimately the finest day of his life. He has all the expectation, all of the hope. He and his beautiful wife and daughter are going to pick up, move to Tallahassee, and let's be clear, Debbie, there is enormous opportunity and resource here. And what do you think? In about 12 hours, the focus shifts to the pressure on turning this thing around?
Well, he's already started recruiting the players that are already here, so you got to do that. And then I'm sure he's got his mind up on who his staff's going to be, but your message to your first thing you say, your first impression to your team will have a lot to do with what their offseason will look like. Wish them well. It's always an exciting time.
I mean, that is a picture that the folks in this part of the country are going to be watching and loving for a long time. A young, as Walker pulls Florida State ever closer with a 3. I mean, here he is walking into the gym with his young daughter in one hand and doing the tomahawk chop with the other. We got a good one here. 3-point game as Walker gets untracked. More defensive pressure, and Walker gets the deflection. Clemson basketball.
Well, Clemson has played with a lot of maturity in this first half, handling the pressure, making shots. Walker finally getting on track, deep in the corner for a triple. But everything begins with defense for Florida State.
Well, as we were interviewing Mike and talking about his new job atop the football program, what did Florida State do to turn this thing around?
Well, it's their system. It's not an adjustment defensively. It's almost like play harder, put somebody in who's going to create a matchup problem, and that's what I think the strength of their program is in their system, is that Leonard Hamilton is a system defensive guy, and he knows how to put his personnel in places, especially defensively, to be successful in certain matchups.
Tavon Moore just a little bit too much down the lane. I thought he had 2 or 3 other better choices to shoot the basketball. 40 in the half, and a whistle, foul on the floor. Clemson to this point has done a pretty good job staying out of foul trouble. That's the 6th team foul.
Well, neither team in the bonus in the first half. That would be really impressive based on the level of defensive intensity they play with.
Mike Norvell behind us taking some selfies with young fans. He better get used to that in this town. I don't believe he and Maria are going to go to too many dinners the next month or so without that exact request. Out of bounds, Clemson ball.
Clemson basically going to have the last possession here, or Florida State's getting it. No, it is Clemson ball. Last possession.
Just half a second between game and shot clock. A 3-point Tiger lead. Full court man-to-man D. They back off and Clemson into the front court.
Sims got to be careful here handling against Forrest.
8th all-time in Florida State steals, and again into the corner goes Amir Sims. Alamir Dawes, and waiting on the call. Let's say Clemson will hold on to it on the rejection.
A lot of traffic in the paint. 6 seconds on the shot clock for Clemson.
Raekwon Gray swatted it out of bounds. So take Moore out, bring a shooter in Mack. And Leonard Hamilton will counter, bring some length onto the floor, and Malik Osborne. Two seconds. Sims. Three! At the buzzer. Amir Sims will send Clemson to the locker room with a 6-point lead. Well, we met the new football coach, and at the moment he's watching his new school trail. Sims and Clemson lead by 6.
Defense that we've seen out here out of both teams does a pretty good job.
And this guy, Vassell, was the best offensive player in the first half. He gave him a much-needed spark. They just could not score for the better part of 6 minutes, but Vassell sparked them. There's the super freshman for 3, Patrick Williams.
You go middle pick and roll, and Patrick Williams, who just turned 18 in September, has a tremendous ceiling for Florida State.
He's a true pro prospect.
And we talked to him today at shoot-around. We asked him what's been the biggest adjustment. He said, no, not taking any plays off.
that doesn't fly around here.
No, it doesn't. That's typical high school answer, though, right? You can take a play off on defense, not on. You got to rest for offense. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
He said he came here to learn how to play defense, which tells you something about an 18-year-old kid to have that kind of awareness. Forrest in the corner, little strong. Second opportunity thanks to a board from Vassell.
See, this small lineup with an empty low block allows Florida State to really drive the gaps.
They do. They find Walker.
Great adjustment by Leonard Hamilton. Let's see if Clemson can counter by finding Sims on the block and try to put some pressure on Osborne.
Moore.
Kayvon Moore,
from behind.
he drives into all kinds of traffic.
To the deck they go. And did they call a timeout? Yes, they did on the floor. And they tied the game on this triple. Good ball movement, spacing. Walker buried it, and we're knotted. A good one at Tallahassee. 33 up. Debbie Antonelli. Kayvon Moore has gotten himself into some trouble.
Well, Tevin Mack gets the ball screen in the middle and then the pass-through screen. And Sims is coming to post up. And Kayvon Moore drives into the middle of all of that action. I think his decision-making needs to be better, but I think his spacing is part of the issue. You got to spread the floor, and you got to read the defense.
Forcing it a little bit. Florida State has hit a couple of three-pointers in this half to tie the game. Revamped lineup to start the second half. Leonard Hamilton always has a lot of choices at his disposal. Williams. Vassell missed, but a putback. There is Williams to clean it up and give Florida State the lead.
Not only driving lanes, but lanes to the offensive rebound as well for Florida State with this smaller lineup. There's Sims on a post-up. Good call. And that's a great call by the official. And if Dawes doesn't look in there, that foul doesn't get called. Watch how Florida State crashes the offensive glass. And that's Patrick Williams with a couple of buckets here quickly in the second half.
So, Debbie, your point is without the traditional big man in there posting up, the lane is more open and they can crash the offensive glass from the wing.
You just read things better from the perimeter, because if you're reading angles and you know where the ball could go, you got to play the percentages. And then that length and the athleticism to be able to go get rebounds. It's really good right now for Florida State.
Okay, so how should Brad Brownell counter that?
Well, he's on the offensive end. They've got to throw it inside on the block and get Sims going.
Kayvon Moore is off. Substitution for the Tigers. Walker nowhere near it.
Not in rhythm. Just not a good rhythm shot. You can get that shot anytime. Reverse the ball a couple of times. See if you can get Clemson in a rotation.
The 20 on the shot clock. You know, for a kid with so much talent and process, they think that he has really evolved in some ways, but they still want more consistency from MJ Walker. He has been active on the defensive end, and another turnover.
That's a great dig by Vassell. On the dribble penetration, he pinches in the gap, gets a deflection. He's playing a terrific game on both sides.
I think it's interesting with MJ Walker, a kid who came in with all the offensive accolades. Leonard Hamilton's system has been so effective, but it is different. And it's not clear that MJ Walker has fully acclimated to the night in, night out demands and changing roles for him as Forrest, a little teardrop will fall.
You run offense for a clear out for Vassell, and he denies going that way to get one more rotation and one more side of the floor, and that allows Forrest the chance to penetrate to the paint. Nice slip by Sims.
What a block! Vassell! Walker up top. Williams! And a foul going for the rebound. I think they're going to get Osborne crashing the boards.
He sure did. He was crashing the glass, but this is a terrific slip by Sims. This is where you might need a pump fake, or you got to dunk it. And Vassell, we were just talking about what a great job he's done on both sides of the ball.
I guess
Clemson hasn't scored in the second half yet.
No, they haven't. I guess that's the 6'9" wingspan for Vassell in action. Tevin Mack has been very quiet. So has Newman until now.
Hey, Johnny Newman needs to come alive. When he gets his feet under his shoulders, he's a terrific shooter. And there's a charge.
Offensive foul. The leader, Forrest, hates the call. Out of control, and Clemson will have it, trailing by 1 when we come back. They got a dandy next. Carolina goes on the road to Charlottesville. That guy, Mamadi Diakite. Debbie Antonelli has been spectacular, and so too Cole Anthony.
I think Seth Greenberg picked Diakite to be Player of the Year in the ACC. I thought I remember hearing that. I think it's a pretty good choice. A lot of people pick Cole Anthony, though. I think this is going to be fun. I can't wait. When this game's over, I'm headed to the airport. I'll be watching this on the app.
Not while you're driving, I hope.
Of course while I'm driving.
Just get it on the dashboard. Well, Florida State has made lineup adjustments. We will be primed for that matchup. That is as good as you can get in December in the ACC. And, of course, as Leonard Hamilton knows, Debbie, this new 20-game schedule, one of the byproducts of that is sort of spread out in the early months of the season. You get 3 games before New Year's Day in league. Wild action on the offensive end. They're going to call a foul on the floor. Forrest cannot believe it. He's called for the bump on the backside.
Well, I know the coaches don't necessarily like the 20-game schedule, but as a fan, I love it. I love the ACC matchups. I grew up on Tobacco Road, and this is something that's really fun and a big part of setting your own winter calendar around ACC hoops.
No question about that. And look, the coaches in the ACC saw what it did for the Big Ten last year. They went to 20. They started playing league games in December, and what happened? They got a ton of teams in because you get more opportunities for those quad 1 wins. 5 on the shot clock. There's Tyson, and he had a bunny, and he missed it.
Tyson's known as a three-point shooter. He doesn't put it on the floor very often.
Corner 3 for Polite.
A transition triple for Florida State. That's what Brad Brownell was worried about. Floor balance, getting back and organizing his defense.
Dawes has been held totally in check since early in the first half.
Well, he scored 10 points in the first 6 minutes of the game. His last basket was at the 14-minute mark in the first half.
Polite, wild and out of control, throws it out of bounds.
Remember we were talking about Florida State getting penetration in the middle of the floor, and they do a great job of getting to the middle of the floor, and Polite spaces out to the corner, which in transition is really hard to defend.
I sort of like the sound of you and I in stereo, don't you, Debbie?
I hope so. I hope we like it.
40-36, Florida State leads. This is a totally different look from the Seminoles. Whatever Leonard Hamilton said, and I think more importantly did, changing the lineups, they have been totally rejuvenated.
Well, he put his 7-footers on the bench and went small, and that's had a factor.
Ball headed our way. Somewhere in the back of my head, I can hear Sean McDonough telling me, it's not you and I, Will. You like the sound of you and me in stereo. So, Sean, that's for you. Hey, we can't be making grammatical errors. 4-point lead. And a wild shot. Mack just has not gotten it going. So much better ball movement. But still, Walker out of rhythm.
A contested shot.
That's wide open in the post. And a good finish for Amir Sims.
It's a great push and transition by Clemson, and Sims gets early position. That's where you take advantage of the smaller lineup. It's a great job by Sims to get to the rim.
2-point Seminole lead. Into the corner. That three is good. Vassell has done it all.
Vassell can take any shot anytime he wants right now. He's got the green light. He doesn't force anything.
Doesn't he look like their best player?
He does. He's long and athletic. He plays both sides. He blocks shots. He defends. He's talking on defense.
Back on the floor. Mack, too strong.
I don't think I really like this lineup on the floor for Brad Brownell, and I'm watching him over there to see how quickly he makes a change.
Raekwon Gray is not afraid to put it on the deck. What is it about these five that you don't like?
I don't think they have enough ball movement out of this group. I don't think they can keep Florida State out of the middle of the floor defensively. And this is part of the issue that Coach Brownell has with only having 9 scholarship players due to injury. You know, Chase Hunter still out with a foot injury. Alex Hemingway has a high ankle sprain. He's not able to play. Clyde Trapp, waiting on him to come back. He'll make a significant difference when he comes back on the floor for Brad Brownell.
You know, it's interesting. We came on the air talking about the return of Jonathan Barron. To your point, they do reshuffle it as Tyson will go to the bench and Dawes comes off. A little bit more of that ball movement. Bear has not made an impact on this game. Debbie knows probably a little bit much to expect that he would have a major impact in his return from ACL.
Well, he's been 18 months at Clemson and hasn't played. It was his first chance in a uniform to really get it going. So I don't know if you can expect that much of the young man the first night that he's in a uniform. But he's been practicing well, according to Brad Brownell, and he will find his way because he's talented.
I'll tell you what, they want Raekwon Gray to trim it up a little bit more and shed some more of that weight. But even as he is an impressive athlete. He moves really well on the floor.
I had Florida State last year in the first and second round of the NCAA tournament, and Raekwon Gray got his first start against Vermont. And he did a fantastic job, and since then the young man started all 3 games in the NCAA tournament. He should be playing with more confidence. He's got skill from the three-point line into the rim.
Had a big game in Gainesville as Florida State early in the season knocked off the Gators. Vassell, hole in the defense, and he buries it.
He can go wherever he wants off the bounce. He is a really tough matchup.
And They get it into the front court, and they need to take some time. Brad Brownell has seen enough. 9-point lead for the Noles. They've got it going on both ends, and it's that man, Devin Vassell, 47-38. In Tallahassee and all week long. Unbelievable work done by that foundation, raising millions and millions of dollars for cancer research. We implore you to join us and the V Foundation in the fight against cancer. And there is...
Wow, that's a long time ago. I love this picture of me and Coach V. He was the basketball coach when I was a player at NC State for the women. I played for a legendary coach as well, Kay Yao, and Coach V was awesome. And my favorite part about his speech is, if you give, it may not save my life, but it might save the life of my children. And it did. Saved the life of his daughter, Jamie, who had cancer and had went through a double mastectomy and had a strong battle. And thankfully she's healthy. And the V Foundation and the money that people give did make a difference.
I don't think you've aged a single day, Debbie.
Well, my jumper's a little bit older, but
that's all right. Look at that.
Yeah, it was a great experience going to NC State. I have a lot of stories about my time with Coach V, but he always let us in practice. I enjoyed going to practice and watching and learning from him. And his daughter Nicole is a friend of mine, and of course I get to see Bob. I'll see Bob next week when I have a game at Louisville. And Nick ran the foundation for a long time. It's a great family.
Shot clock violation. I don't care how many years it's been. Every time I hear that speech, I still get goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
And the message is just as powerful. It might save someone you love. You know, we all know that Jimmy was such a force of nature. What was it like just being around him?
Well, he's a great guy. He was the ultimate entertainer, right? He had a kind word for everyone. He cared, and he worked really hard. And the latter part of his time at NC State, people forget he was the athletic director and the basketball coach. He was playing dual role there, and that was a lot of responsibility.
Rare miss for Vassell. No one will ever forget the picture of him after the championship, just sprinting around the court looking for somebody to hug. I think it's probably the only time in Jimmy's life that he was looking for somebody to love him.
You know, I'm really proud of NC State for putting his name in the arena at NC State. It's Reynolds Coliseum on Jim Valvano Arena and Kay Yao Court. It's really remarkable to see both their names on that.
Polite, a triple in the corner, and Florida State has shot the three exceedingly well in this half. Yeah, I think that was the right thing to do. Jimmy did so much for that team, that program, that university. It just doesn't feel right to not have his name on the floor, and they did the right thing.
Well, it's in the arena. Kay Yao's name is on the court. Double team Sims playing out of it. Dawes hasn't had a basket since the 14-minute mark in the first half.
That was not good. Bear brought it low, got it stripped, but Clemson will have it.
Dawes trying to turn the corner to get in the paint. Draws a crowd. And I misspoke. He just scored a basket.
It had been a long drought. I mean, he came out gangbusters. He was the reason Clemson had the lead. It has been all Florida State in this half. Seminoles have just dominated play. They've scored 23. Clemson just 7. And the fans here do not love that call.
Well, Clemson hasn't been to the free throw line in the second half, so this is their first trip to the line, and this is a place they need to get to so they can get some easy points.
You know, as Brad Brownell using this as a teaching moment, it's easy to forget that Jonathan Bear, this is his first game action. You can't be missing free throws down 10 on the road in one of the toughest environments in the ACC. But Debbie, to me, this Clemson team started hot, and all of a sudden they start to look like a team that has all of these newcomers, all these transfers who've not yet played together enough.
Well, it's taking time, right? There's been injuries, there's new players. Brad Brownell has 9 new players on this year's roster.
Trent Forrest, by his standards, been very quiet in this game. Williams is heated up in the second half.
Clemson switching to some zone, a 1-3-1. With Bear on the top of it.
There's the soft spot in that zone.
I like the change, though. Brad Brownell's trying to do something to jumpstart his team offensively.
Forrest is such a savvy player. Scott in some trouble. Mack in the corner.
Boy, did anybody needed a basket, it was Tevin Mack. What a competitor.
He does not lack for energy, that's for sure.
Staying in the zone, switches to a 2-3.
Bad pass for Vassell. Mack comes away with it. Dawes. Transition, not close. And Polite with a board. That looked like a freshman. Foul on the floor as Gray tried to drive it. Coming your way on Saturday, #1 Louisville welcomes Eastern Kentucky to town. KFC Yum Center will have Louisville on display noon Eastern right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. And Debbie, I know you've seen Louisville. They are the real deal.
They're good. They're 9-0. Jordan Nwora, second in the league in scoring, 21, almost 22 points a game. He's shooting 46% from the three-point line.
Polite, a deep NBA three, and Florida State back out in front by 11. That Louisville team, it would appear, does not have any holes. And Brad Brownell needs a timeout. Florida State starting to knock them down from deep. Hot shooting has them to an 11-point lead. We're back in 30 seconds. The earnest, true, sincere, full-bore start of ACC play, but here we are, sort of the second round of it, Debbie, and Louisville, #1. Big Ten wins the challenge. We're going to zoom past that and focus on what follows us right here, North Carolina and UVA.
I can't wait. I'm going to be watching it on the app. North Carolina, I know Roy Williams will have his team prepared to go to Virginia, and they've got a little rotation issue with some injuries. So that's the kind of, we heard Packer and Durham talking about how at halftime some of the teams have some injuries that they're dealing with. I think everyone deals with injuries at some point in the season.
I would like to see for one day Roy Williams and Tony Bennett swap wardrobes. I mean, the two guys could not be more different in their sartorial inclinations. Tony, straight, plain, down the middle. Roy wearing the lavish designs on all those blue suits.
I would be more interested in their golf games because they're both really good golfers.
Not as much this time of year. Curran Scott checks out. That's going to be a fun one. I promise I will not alert the Florida State Troopers about your intentions to watch that game on the app driving to the airport here in Tallahassee. And I can't blame you. You don't want to miss a minute of it. Polite, a new career high. He is red hot from three.
That's 3 triples for him in the second half.
And their largest lead. It is so hard to come to this building and beat Florida State. They've been remarkable in the second half. John Newman fouled on the floor. Well, Florida State reshuffled the deck at the half. New lineup. They've made shots and they lead big.
Has extended their lead to 14 behind the play of Anthony Polite off the bench. Well, excuse me, 4 triples in the second half. The Florida State bench has 22 points. Anthony has 12 of them, a career high outside the arc. What a fantastic job for the lefty. And I'm sure his dad, Michael, who was a 1,000-point scorer in his career here at Florida State, is very proud of what his son is doing today.
Anthony could say, excuse me, in 3 languages. Impressive kid, and he has really sparked the Seminoles in the second half. This is more of what we expected from Florida State. They were in a little bit of a lull in the first half, just not in sync.
Well, they were down by 5 at the half, and Leonard Hamilton started the second half with a small lineup, void of a 7-footer and a low block player. And it really changed the tempo of the game, and they did it with their defense.
Patrick Williams, a big block. I have to tell you, no Olinichuk, no Kaprovica. I spent all the time working on the pronunciations for nothing.
Yeah, well, you'll need them in the beginning of the games when you have Florida State. But at the end of the games, you might not need them.
Kaprovica. ACC Network basketball presented by Food Lion, the official grocer of the ACC, as Leonard Hamilton watches his team play exactly the way he expected them to, coming home in a building they've been so great. You know, I thought he said something interesting, Debbie, that he admitted that ahead of this season he was not ready for what just transpired this week in the tournament and then going to Indiana. Those 3 teams in the Power Fives in the span of 5 days, it took a toll on his team.
Well, he's got 3 big wins on his resume, and you count Florida, Tennessee, and Purdue. And it's part of the reason why he understands how to win is look at that number of victories that he has in the ACC, and he's moving up the charts. Lefty is on the list next.
I mean, those are Hall of Famers.
They're all in the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, Bobby Cremins has a court named after him.
Great company.
Barry Williams has a court named after him. Dean Smith has a building named after him.
It is Coach K Court.
Coach K.
Gray for 3.
I think the common denominator when you play Florida State is you have to handle their pressure and you have to welcome it. You have to understand that when you can bring 2, as Curran Scott gets called for a push, and when you got to bring 2, and you got to be able to backdoor, and you got to be able to move the ball. You have to get to the free throw line. You have to meet pressure with pressure.
It's a 9-0 run for the Seminoles. They've got their largest lead at 17. Leonard Hamilton said he learned in Indiana that he needs to be willing to think a little bit outside the box. Is how he uses the rotation, how he doles out minutes, and I think he's done a masterful job of that here today.
Well, they beat Florida, holding Florida to 28% from the floor. They beat Tennessee, holding them to 33%. They beat a really good Purdue team, holding them to 34%. And in the second half, Florida State's defense here against Clemson is holding them to 37%. That's the common denominator for Coach Hamilton, who I have to say is a wonderful conversation with a cup of coffee.
Yes. He gets it, doesn't he?
He totally gets it. All his guys graduate. He's got a culture and a system here. And when you talk to him as Tevin Mack hits a deep triple, when you talk to Leonard Hamilton about his guys, humble and coachable are 2 words he says all the time about all his guys. He's got a great group of kids here.
I think he's pretty honest and upfront with the guys he goes out and recruits, and they come here knowing what will be expected of them. It is a different breed in this program. You know, I think Leonard is a great conversation over a cup of coffee, and I think he'd be just as fun over something a little stronger. He's a guy who,
I don't know if we were allowed to say that.
he owns a record label. He's got all these live tapes of concerts, the Supremes back in the 60s. I mean, he is a fascinating guy who's hosted talk radio shows. He is really fun to be around.
I think 2012 was the year he won the ACC tournament with 6 seniors, and I think that really helped him turn the corner.
He is comfortable in his own skin, and he's got a wonderful veteran coaching staff.
If I was Mike Norvell, the new football coach, I wouldn't wait a week to go over and say hello to Leonard. I'd be over there first thing tomorrow morning.
No kidding. Listen to some live Motown shows at his house. I bet you Leonard's got a pretty good lay of the real estate land here, too, for Maria and Mike as they look for their new home. You would think, Debbie, that the real estate agents in Tallahassee are lining up for Mike Norvell's business. Here's a little more on Leonard Hamilton here in Tallahassee.
Leonard, let's run a little fast break.
So when you were growing up, what athlete did you look up to most?
I admire Johnny Unitas and Raymond Barry.
How do you unwind from basketball?
I collect old school DVDs.
What other sports besides basketball did you play growing up?
I played quarterback on the football team, and I wasn't very good.
You think he was a wishbone quarterback back then?
I will not tell him you said that. Yeah, they just look like they're having a lot more fun, do the Seminoles. And that's big news. Forrest is hobbled.
You know, he struggled all last season with turf toe, and he played through it. And you just hope the young man doesn't have anything rise up.
It's such a big part of what they do. Now that's better than if he had just planted on the floor. He steps on the foot, and hopefully that's a little different kind of a flare-up. Play doctor in my downtime. It looks just fine. Moving around. Polite has had a huge habit. Walker. Forrest into the backcourt. 10 on the shot clock. Forrest, no worse for the wear, but he can't find the finish.
See, Clemson was down to TCU with 7:39 to play and went on a 15-0 run. They were down by 15 points. It's very similar to where they are right now.
Well, they will need a 15-0 run right now to take the lead. And gets them within 14 at the 4:23 mark.
You got to manage right here. It's got to be a stop and then a score, or a steal and a score.
Walker in some trouble, finds Polite. 3 ball. No. They get the stop. And a travel going to be called on John Newman III. 63-49, Leonard Hamilton's club rolling at home in Tallahassee. ACC Network basketball presented by Food Lion, the official grocer of the ACC. At the Tucker Center in Tallahassee. Been a buzzing day in this town. They hired the new football coach, Mike Norvell. We met him. High expectations, and the second half, ever since we talked to Mike, basically since he came on our air, Debbie, Florida State has taken over this game.
Well, you see the shooting in the second half, 27%, which is 37 for the game for Clemson, and 12 for 21. Much better ball movement. Of course, Devin Vassell had the hot hand early, and then Anthony Polite with those 4 triples in the second half. 27 bench points for Florida State in the game this afternoon.
You know, it's interesting that the way the schedule breaks out, Forrest did not see that cut not coming from the freshman Patrick Williams. They had Clemson here at home today. Then they played Georgia Tech. Debbie does Florida State. Before they go through the gauntlet in the ACC, they got Louisville and Carolina and Duke. They needed to win this one, and they do need to handle their business in Georgia Tech if they really do want to contend for the ACC championship.
Well, there's no question. I mean, everybody's got to go at some point through that kind of stretch. It's not easy. This league is demanding every game.
There's Mack. Maybe a little case of too little, too late for him. He has found it a little bit here over the last several minutes. Well, Clemson's got to figure it out themselves because they've got the same situation. They got Carolina twice, Duke and Louisville in a 7-game span.
But you go right now, you get 3 consecutive stops. Well, that doesn't help. MJ Walker late on a switch with Jemison.
15-point lead. He does not shy away from the trigger, MJ Walker. It's a big make. Jemison underneath, and how about Vassell doing it all?
Florida State converts quickly from defense to offense. Now they're doing a good job of managing with the lead.
Sell 3 blocks on the game. Williams triple.
I really like Patrick Williams. He is going to be a big-time player in the ACC.
Into his own. Largest lead of the day. 18. Vassell just everywhere.
Hunter Tyson's job is to make threes when he comes on the floor.
That was a good look. A lot of pieces they need to fit together, Clemson. Brad Brownell has done such an unbelievable job. There is Vassell, contact on the way up from Jemison, and he'll go to the line. Debbie, he's done a wonderful job, has Brad. And this may be one of his toughest jobs, just trying to, in spite of all the injuries and turnover and new faces, to find a group that gels together.
It's a work in progress, there's no question, but I do believe that because Brad is such a great teacher, he has the right personality to be at Clemson, to manage playing in the ACC. He's had plenty of experience going against, for 10 years going against the league. He knows what to do. He's always prepared. They had a great start to the game. They had a 5-point lead at the half.
They were great indeed. Tonight, speaking of great, the All-ACC team will be back after Carolina and Virginia to break down the day's big basketball highlights, as well as the big football news from right here in Tallahassee, coming up at 6 Eastern. Nobody covers the ACC like we do. Available right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Pressure unrelenting for Florida State. Osborne into the passing lane, but a foul. Yeah, to your point on Brad Brownell, he just oozes positivity. We went back to talk to him before the game. You can't help but think about his players and how much fun it must be to play for a guy who views the world the way he does.
Well, I've been in practice several times this year. I've had Clemson already. I learned something from Brad every time I talk to him about the game. And Leonard Hamilton is probably very pleased with his defense, considering they just put Clemson in the bonus. In the first half, they did not put Clemson in the bonus. So to play that kind of ramped up effort and the way they overplay and extend.
And a timeout will be called for Leonard to get one of his favorite players onto the floor. Debbie, you love this kid.
This is Justin Linder. He's a member of the green team, number 12 right there. Check out the green team right here. Coach Hamilton says this group works hard and challenges his first team every day in practice. But the thing I like about Justin and talking to him, because he wants to be a coach one day, Justin is like all ACC scout team, man. He doesn't miss a shot, and he doesn't mind telling you that he's going to make one.
Yeah, we understand he likes to talk a little bit.
He talks a little trash while he's out there, but he's a great young man, and he's done a terrific job running the scout team for the other teams.
Look at him. He's bossing everybody around on defense.
Well, look, he's planning on scoring or getting a stop right here and then scoring. or scoring and then going down to get a stop.
Travis Light is also out there, so too Will Miles. I love what Leonard just did. Get these guys minutes. Here he is with the ball in his hands, running the offense. He'll fire. He'll hit.
IQ, man. I told you that kid was money. Look at the bench's reaction.
They love it. And with it, Florida State, its biggest lead of the afternoon. They do not lose in this building. And they're fighting for the rebound. Clemson will keep it.
Justin, this is your moment, man. This is fantastic. He gets the switch. The bench.
Cannot get enough of it. Going to work. That's a lot of beef on the post. Grindy knocks down Yates, who's off the bench. There's that kid. And, you know, late in these games, Debbie, that sometimes get away. That not only does it tell you something about Leonard Hamilton, but that that can be what is so fun about the late moments. Kids who are behind the scenes working tirelessly day after day in practice, he gets a moment in the line.
That's his career high. 3.
I love it. He and Travis Light working hard on D. He's trying to get his attention since they chatted about that very thing before the game as Clemson will go to the free throw line. And we want to remind you that coming up next, North Carolina and Virginia. That is a heavyweight matchup in Charlottesville, 2 top 10 teams. Should be a defensive struggle. Anthony and Diakite. With Fleming, Debbie Antonelli. Florida State has looked much more like themselves in the second half of this one. Leonard Hamilton has got to be pleased with the way his team has turned the corner with the new look lineup in the second half. And
when Clemson gets ready to take on South Carolina at home in a great rivalry game. Frank Martin's team, you talk about defense. This is great prep for the Gamecocks for sure.
Final exams for the Seminoles coming up this week. Trent Forrest will graduate, go into a post-grad program. Leonard Hamilton has got it going on the floor and off, and his Seminoles will rout Clemson 72-53. For Debbie Antonelli, I'm Will Fleming saying goodbye from Tallahassee. 72-53, Noles over the Tigers. Carolina, UVA is next.